So if you want to be the center of attention, this video is going to be for you. Today we have 10 fragrances that will do just that. They have a really nice, attention-grabbing, people-pleasing aura about them. And what's nice is we have a nice mixture here. So we have some summer-oriented fragrances and some winter-oriented fragrances. So you can buy stuff for present time if it's a little bit cold out where you are right now, or you can start planning ahead and purchasing some of these for when it starts to warm up. For this one, I did stick with all designers. We're going to try to keep it on the more affordable end of things. We do have, again, kind of a mixture of some that are a little bit more affordable, kind of borderline cheapies, and some that also are a little bit more on the high-end side. So there's a little bit of everything for everybody. And I think most importantly here, we should go ahead and get this one rolling, but I do also want to let you know that they will be linked up down below to discounters as well, along with the Fragrance Net 35% off link. Clicking that will automatically apply the current best discount. That link is in all of my videos, so if you're ever making a purchase over there, hitting that first will make sure you're getting and saving the most amount of money. Let's just go ahead and run through it here. And we're going to start off with Light Blue Forever by Dolce & Gabbana, the newest light blue flanker. So this one's got grapefruit, ozonic notes, violet leaf. It's, man, it needs no introduction. It really doesn't. This one came into the fragrance scene kind of early last year and just exploded, took off. I mean, you can watch my first impressions on this one. It's 100% a genuine reaction, and you can tell that this stuff is a big head turner. Even now, when I spray it up and smell it, that opening is amazing. It's all about the grapefruit. So if that doesn't really get you going, citrus notes like that that are very punchy and kind of sweet, rindy, and photorealistic, then this may not be that great for you. But if you are someone who really does like summer fragrances, you like, photorealistic citrus fragrances, especially from a designer brand, this one here, it has it all going on. So it is a light blue flanker. It has a little bit of a watery feel, but instead of having a watery note or sea notes or anything like that, the watery feel is coming from the violet leaf. The ozonic notes kind of give it this wispy, light, airy texture. And of course, the grapefruit is kind of the star of the show. For what it is, performance is solid. Quality is amazing. It's got good mass appeal behind it as well. And it's also on discounters now. So everything about this one checks off. Now do keep in mind also that the price will still be continuing to drop on discounters. It is below retail now, but it'll continue to go down, and it should settle around to where most of the other light blue flankers are in terms of pricing. It just takes time, but it's a step in the right direction. It's an eau de parfum. I mean, they did everything right with Light Blue Forever, and I encourage you to check this one out. Big head turner, big compliment getter. Next up, a fragrance that finally came in stock again. This one has been hard to get for a good while. I want to say almost ever since it first came out and was available here in the US. It would be in stock. People would buy it up really quickly because it was kind of hot, and then out of stock. And it would stay that way for a while. In this last round, it's been out of stock for a good while. And I know this, and I keep track of this because when that happens, I stop featuring the fragrances. People think that I change my mind on things, and all of a sudden I stop liking a fragrance that I once talked about. And the reality is, I do that just because I don't want to promote something that you guys can't purchase. And so, of course, this one is going to be PASHA de Cartier Parfum version. You guys probably remember me talking about this one a good bit when it first came out. Finally, it's back in stock, which means I can talk all about it. Sandalwood, boozy notes, balsam fir. There's a little bit of tonka bean. Man, this is so good. I mean, you can smell the dry down just from the atomizer, but when you experience the opening, that is nice. That opening is just amazing. That's when you get the booziness. You get the nice masculine, refined, creamy sandalwood. The balsam fir in here gives it kind of a masculine, woody undertone. This stuff is really, really well done from opening to dry down. It's mature, it's classy, it's refined. It is definitely a gentleman's fragrance here. It's going to be more so for the cooler weather. So, this time of year is perfect if you live somewhere where it is winter time. If you're in the southern hemisphere, then just wait a few months out and pick this one up. But for a lot of us right now is the time to be enjoying this one. And if you have yet to get one and you're interested, it is available now, and I will link it down below for you. But it's great. I do recommend you pick it up if you're into this sort of thing. It's not going to be a bubblegummy sweet scent. If that's kind of your bread and butter, then you would be best sampling this one first or just choosing something different here. But for my guys who want something a little bit more mature, more refined, you don't like the playful stuff, you want something down to business and also a head turner, PASHA de Cartier Parfum is the way to go. So this next one kind of goes not in the bubblegummy direction, but it goes in the direction that I was referring to a second ago, not with the PASHA, but when I was saying that, my guys out there who maybe want something more playful. This is kind of what you would go for to some extent. From Dolce & Gabbana, it is the one Eau de Parfum Intense. Cardamom, cashmere, and leather. So this one uses that now very popular and very trendy cashmere note to a heavy extent here. And so that's used in like Dior Homme 2020 to name one big one, right? It seems like they all kind of came out around the same time. It's kind of the next big wave. And so what that does essentially is it gives it a nice woody, clean, and modern smell. So this does not smell like a dated fragrance. It doesn't smell old school. It smells quite the opposite. Very new. This is the new style of men's fragrance. What I like about this one though, and it's definitely grown on me, is that it has the cardamom and the leather. So instead of being just all woods, all clean, kind of like Dior Homme 2020, there's a sweet, warm, spicy balance. This one is very alluring and very inviting. One of the main issues with Dolce & Gabbana, the one EDP, is, well, one, its performance is not the greatest, but also it's kind of just an evening date night scent. If it performed better, it could easily be a signature scent. It works great in the daytime, but this one has more of a kind of a broad spectrum of uses. So you could wear it on a date in the evening, but you could also wear it during the day. It has good performance to back it up. All around, it's just a nice everyday scent. It's one that will kind of conquer the space around you, will get you good compliments. Feedback is great. Quality is great. Performance is good, better than the EDP, Dolce & Gabbana, the one EDP. All around, I think this one here, it is really well done and it works well. Next up, we have 212. There it is, 212 Sexy for Men. So yeah, these bottles and really the naming convention is a little bit, you kind of know who this is going to appeal for, right? It's not going to be for the PASHA de Cartier Parfum guys. This is going to be for the sweeter bubblegummy fragrance guys. So this is what you would want to get after here. Vanilla, Gaiac wood, pepper, and what else? Cardamom. Almost had it. So this has a kind of more of a benzoin to me. So the way to describe it is it's got this sweet, dusty benzoin smell, kind of powdery. Overall, it is relatively powdery leaning here. The cardamom gives it a nice spiciness. It's not too overbearing. You do get some mild woods in here. Smells really nice. Very pleasant. Definitely more of an entry-level designer fragrance, but one that does do what we're talking about very well, and that is to just get noticed. One thing I do like about this is, it's a tester. As you can see right there, I don't necessarily like that it says tester, not for sale on the side, but what I do like is it does come with a cap, and that is magnetic as well. So presentation is nice. I mean, magnetic cap just takes it to the next step. It's entry level. It's not a whole lot of money. The atomizer is good, and it smells nice. Performance is great as well. Nice dusty, powdery scent. That is a big head turner here. So this next one, we've got JOOP Homme Absolute. Super cool looking bottle here. Incense, black pepper, tonka bean, ylang ylang are some of the main notes. Great atomizer. Man, that is nice. That's really nice. You know what's weird, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe it does have a cinnamon note, but I do pick up on that. I just didn't write it down in my notes, but it feels like it's there. I get a cinnamon note. Maybe it's the way the incense and the pepper work together, but it's got a sweetness, a little bit of a fresh touch from the ylang ylang, smoky, spicy, masculine, and I know I've sprayed it a bunch of times, but for the price, everything considered, that is a great atomizer. I mean, it's not often that you get something that nice, and fragrances that are a bit more on a budget. This here, looking down, will probably be one of the most affordable ones, price per mil wise and all that stuff. It is one that you can get discounted, and it's one that's really good. Now, a lot of people will see JOOP Homme, and they'll be like, oh, not for me, right? Because the original and the new EDP, they are very syrupy, right? Not for everybody, really. Not even necessarily for me all that much. But when you take a look at like JOOP Homme Wild, that one's fantastic. Still sweet, but not quite to that level. And even this one is not really syrupy sweet at all. It is sweet, but not in the same way as, JOOP Homme is. It's spicy, smoky, woody in a way, more masculine, way more refined. This here is very, very well done, and I think a lot of you guys would really end up liking it. It's a big head turner, conquers the space around you. This stuff is impressive. So from one black bottle to another, we've got Black XS by PACO RABANNE, another one for the bubblegummy sweet guys out there. Praline, lemon, cinnamon, citruses, another sweet scent, right? One that's going to be for the younger crowd. I like it because it has that citrusy freshness with this, you know, kind of gourmand sweetness. It's a really nice contrast that does work well here in this scent, and that I feel like to some extent could be hard to pull off. You know, if you were trying to do that, maybe it would turn out to be a jumbled mess. But here with this fragrance, it's pulled off well. And so ultimately that gives it a nice bit of versatility. It gives it a nice kind of mass appeal because it appeals to people who like sweeter fragrances and also maybe something a bit more citrusy and fresh and slightly uplifting in the opening. It's one that's kind of in the mid-range pricing here. I want to say just around $50, maybe give or take 5 or 10. I don't really know, honestly. Somewhere in the middle, basically, is what I'm saying. Performance is good. Quality is good for the price. I mean, all things considered, it's another fragrance that works. It's kind of what we're after here. We're after safe, good performing, mass-pleasing fragrances. And I think this one here is one that you should consider. Alrighty, next up, we've got this jumbo bottle here. Big Red, EROS Flame. So this stuff, man, it just works really well. And it was the first EROS flanker. Am I right? I think I am. First EROS flanker. You know, we had EROS EDT. It was out for a good while, and that was all we had, really. And they, out of nowhere, they just kind of dropped EROS Flame on us. And this is a really nice scent. Orange, vanilla, tonka bean. It also still has some of the original EROS workings in here. So like, you know, the apple, the kind of minty, fresh smell, all of that stuff going on. Just focus on more kind of, I don't know, kind of citruses, aromatics, that sort of thing. It's sweet in a different way than the original EROS. It's kind of how I would like to describe it. The original EROS has that minty apple, tonka bean sweetness. This one has more of a sweetness from the orange, so it's the creaminess. The tonka bean gives it a little bit of a dusty nature, powdery nature, but not all that much. It's just different, but at the same time, still an EROS flanker. Still has that EROS DNA. It's just a nice change. A nice kind of, I guess, refresher, because remember, this was the first flanker, so they didn't want to release something that smelled exactly like EROS. Now, when you get into the EDP and the PARFUM, you know, it still maintains more of that DNA, just beefing it up, and the PARFUM is probably the furthest away from the original EROS, just in terms of those, not talking about Flame, because that one has a little bit more of a maturity, more of a depth, and stronger. EROS PARFUM is amazing, but I wanted to feature something different. I've been talking about that new release a lot, and Flame, in my opinion, is still a worthwhile flanker. It's an eau de parfum, it's a good performer, you know, very playful, very fun, great for the younger crowd, and it works well. Second to last fragrance, we're going to go back to the more mature side of things a little bit. From AZZARO, this is Pour Homme Intense. So it's got cinnamon, brandy, lavender. This has some of that original AZZARO Pour Homme aromatic fougere barbershop style DNA in here. So that is kind of giving it the more mature smell. However, the cinnamon and the brandy really kind of sweetens it up, makes it an intense flanker, makes it kind of a nighttime, evening out flanker. It just makes it better. I would choose this over the original any day. Now, you know, they are different in the fact that this has boozy, spicy notes and the original doesn't, right? So it's a matter of personal preference. But I think that this DNA just got significantly better with this intense flanker, man. I mean, that is so good because you do still get the lavender. You get the kind of barbershop feel up top, but just the sweetness, the spiciness that this one has makes it kind of unforgettable. You know, this is different stuff, and it's one that I still think is very underrated. I think a lot of people gloss over this one, but I encourage you to check it out. Alrighty, last up, we're going to go back to the younger crowd. Again, try to keep it diverse here. This one, Valentino UOMO, born in Roma. Oh, I'm sorry, actually, this is not even the last one. We've got one more after this, but you know what I'm saying. Mineral notes, violet leaf, sea salt. So it's different, right? Doesn't have a similar note breakdown at all to Valentino UOMO Intense, even though the bottles from a distance look a little bit similar. If I just did that, you would think it's Valentino UOMO Intense. Don't tell me you wouldn't. Other than the bright purple lettering, right, that stands out like a sore thumb. But to some, it may be misleading, okay? You may think, oh, Valentino UOMO Intense, but different. It's not. So this kind of has the bubblegummy Invictus style of thing going on, but with its own twist. And I will say that I was harsh on this one in the beginning. And you can actually watch my buying guide video I did on the line, where I addressed that as well and basically said, yo, I think now this is something that is a nice pickup. When I first got it, I was not really too impressed. But it does work well. It's fresh. It's kind of aquatic, minerally salty, a little bit spicy. I mean, look, it just gets the job done. It's for the younger crowd. There's a lot of appeal from the bottle, the presentation, the fact that it's from Valentino. All around, it does work nice. And it's a good pickup for younger guys out there. And last up, a little bit of a different one, but one that's very, very good. Givenchy Pie Air. Benzoin, neroli, and lavender. I love it. Spray it this way so I can smell it. I let you guys smell it. Now it's my turn. Man, that's great. It really is. I'm a big fan of pie, Givenchy Pie. It smells great. It's a vanilla benzoin, neroli scent, I do believe it has. But this one is fresher. Has a little bit of a juiciness to it, a vibrance. It smells fantastic and 100% different than a lot of other fresh flankers out there. I mean, this stuff will set you apart. Because it has that freshness, because it has that juiciness, it's one that's probably going to be more versatile, more mass-pleasing overall, a lot easier to pull off in a lot of situations. This is another one that I could smell all day. I mean, that's addicting. They got everything right with this one. Everything. Let me spray it on my hand. They did not screw up a single thing here. This has to be just one of the better flankers out there. It's one where you can overlook it. You may think, oh, I don't need a fresher version of pie. Pie is great, and you're right, it is great, but I do think you need this. I really do. I mean, it doesn't cost a whole lot of money, about $60 on discounters. Man, that is just pleasant. This is one that people will just go crazy for. They won't get enough of it. They'll be wondering what it is and they'll want some for themselves. Alrighty guys, that's gonna do it for me. That's 10 fragrances that will make you the center of attention. These are all amazing and I really do like this video. I like this list because we've got a mixture, whether you're a young guy in his late teens, early 20s, or you're a guy in his 40s, 50s and you're really successful in life and you want something that will complement that, then you have stuff like the PASHA, DECANTS, and AZZARO Intense, and stuff like that. And if you're a younger guy, you got the EROS Flame, 212 Sexy, all of that stuff. Light Blue Forever is kind of in the middle. It could be for anybody. So I think no matter what you're into, you'll find something you like. I will link these all up down below. I encourage you to use those links. They're going to take you to the cheapest prices available. And I also recommend you use the 35% off link. That will get you the most amount of money off of your order. That's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.